10, 9.
You want answers? I want the truth!
Get ready for two guys who can't handle the truth.
I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
But we can. Dave Palumbo, Chris Aceto. RxMuscle.com presents Heavy Muscle Radio. Watch out!
Welcome to another episode of Heavy Muscle Radio. I'm Dave Palumbo, and I'm joined, as always, by the technician, Chris Aceto, on this April 20th, 2019 evening. And Chris, you are hot and bothered and pissed and ready to fucking rumble here. The New York Pro just let out. Obviously, we're taping this a little early this week. Chris just left the New York Pro venue in White Plains, New York, there where Juan Morel was crowned the new New York Pro Men's Open Bodybuilding Champion. And Chris, how's it going?
It's going. I mean, I had to come back from the the show that leaves a question mark, to say the least, in who really won that show in terms of the 212.
Yeah, we're not talking about. Let's before we get to the 212, which I know you're all heated about, the open category. Ironically enough, the top four guys were guys that I actually work with, early in their career. I got most of those guys to the, and you work with a few of them too. You work with John, obviously. Yeah. I had worked with them one time too, and these are guys that we knew. You knew when they came up through the ranks that they were going to be some of the top guys. Maybe not Olympia champions, but they were going to be the top guys vying for a lot of pro titles. Juan Morel, Akeem Williams, two guys that I worked with from when they first started. John De La Rosa, who's had a couple coaches, but you worked with him for quite a while as well, and with very good success. And they're all New York guys, and battling it out at the New York Pro. That doesn't get much better than that, right? I mean, think about it.
Dave, I thought of it. When they on the first call out, I think, is Justin Rodriguez also from Steve's gym?
I don't know if but he's from the area. I think he's from Connecticut.
Yeah. So it's like throwing him in 4 of the top 5 at the New York Pro, train next to each other.
And they all look great. I mean, it's not like anyone was given any kind of gift or anything like that. These guys have worked their way up the ranks. Akeem really has arrived this year, I think, was really the first. I mean, he won a couple shows when I helped him, but he really has, kind of matured his physique, I think is the best words for it. And to see him and Juan, who were training partners when they first started, best friends, now battling it out at the New York Pro. I mean, come on, that's like you can't even write that into a movie. It's so great.
No, you can't. You can't, and you were right, because you told me way back.
In the early days of RxMuscle, we used to do In the Iron Asylum videos, which were our training series. I used to be in the gym like at least once a month with Juan and Akeem. They would be at Bev's. I'd get them down there. We'd be doing legs. We'd be doing back, and that's when when Juan and Akeem they were squatting like 600-700 pounds each. I mean, I was like, I couldn't believe it, because those days of like the crazy heavy training were kind of like coming to an end. And here, these guys were just pushing the envelope, and I loved it. And I mean, De La Rosa is a very hard trainer as well. I've trained, I've shot a lot of training videos of him as well. And these guys just were the throwbacks to the Dorian era, really. And
let me just add, since Jose's listening, that it was Jose Raymond who beat John De La Rosa in Bros versus Pros.
Yeah, it's true. Actually, the one that Jose Raymond won, that Bros versus Pros 3, by the way, which was a 400-pound squat, as many reps as you can get. I think Jose did 30, and I think it was like a couple days, like a week out from his show.
Yeah.
And he beat Juan, he beat De La Rosa, he beat Akeem, I think was in that. It was like a superstar lineup of the future in that.
Can you imagine that? Do you have that on video?
I do.
You should definitely post
it. Yeah.
Please post that on YouTube, because, Jose reminds me of that. Nonetheless, he has a new hip, so maybe that's part of it.
Maybe he wasn't so smart after all, yeah. But, talk to me a little bit about Juan versus Akeem versus Milan Shadik, who you and I have been saying for the last 2 years, this is a guy who needs to move to the open category, and once he does and matures, he'll be a very dangerous competitor. And of course, John De La Rosa. Give me the breakdown of that top 5.
Well, it's apples and oranges. right? And it's weird, right? Because okay, let's start with De La Rosa fourth. I guess that's probably pretty much where he deserved a place.
Mm-hmm.
He's round, full, just not hard enough.
Right.
And so by definition, you take those four right there, and if he's the least conditioned of the four, that's where you're going to land.
He's a guy who's got a lot of muscle. Like off season, he's the thickly dense. You see him in a t-shirt, and he's got muscle everywhere. There's not like 1 ounce of his body where you say, I think he's missing some muscle there. But he's a guy that has trouble getting in shape. He has to work very hard to get that conditioning, that thin skin, and he's either on or he's off. It's like there's no in the middle with him. It seems like.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's no. I've seen him in the middle. I mean, he's been in the middle, but
But it seems like when he hits it, when he finally, when he gets it the way right, he's very difficult to beat. I mean, that New York Pro where him and Sergio battled it out. I mean, that was a nail biter right down to the end.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's hints.
On a 1 to 10 scale, where was he?
7.
Okay, so he wasn't where he needed to be, is what you're saying.
I didn't think so.
Okay. You think he was? Did he look disappointed with the 4th place?
I mean, John, I don't think he shows disappointment too much. You know what I mean? Like on the 4th, I mean, he didn't look disappointed. I think he probably knew based on the call-outs. Mm-hmm. So the way they arranged him out and prejudging, I'm sure he knew that he wasn't first or second.
Right. He was. He's been training with Flex Lewis at his gym down here in Florida. I know John moved, so I don't know who's doing his diet now. I know he's probably.
You got Neil.
Neil Hill's doing his. Neil Hill's doing his diet. Yeah, John's been through probably more coaches than Big Ramy has in his career.
No, Ramy has the record.
I think John may have the record actually.
No, because you got to count me twice with Ramy. So
that's true. The bottom line is that John just needs to be tighter here. I'm sure that John will continue to probably do the Toronto show, and I'm sure we'll see him get better. He seems to have that. He gets better as he goes on along the season. I don't know if he's just one of these guys that needs to diet a long time, but he does seem to get better. Now, a guy who's been competing, it seems like almost every show of the season, is Akeem Williams here.
Well, you jumped over Milan's.
I purposely jumped over him because I want you to just talk to me about. I want to come back to him because I think that he's probably one of the greatest potential of all these guys. Talk to me about Akeem Williams. I mean, from the pictures, he looked great.
Devastatingly devastating when he comes out by himself. Mm-hmm. And what's interesting about you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Dave?
Yeah, Chris, go ahead.
Yeah, it broke up. I lost you for a second.
Yeah, you're fine.
Okay, so what's interesting about Akeem is, by himself when he comes out, he looks tremendous. His handicap is the conditioning of the back, right? Which is bizarre because his medialis in the legs and his lateralis. See, I do know some PhD science words. His legs, otherwise known as legs, teardropping out ahead, have striations in them. His hamstrings and glutes are pretty much in. It's he's got carries some water and fat in his back, but he still looks like he's going to be hard to put away for this group.
If you had to speculate, okay, about what's going on with Akeem, here he's a guy, and this always frustrated me. When I was working with him, the guy has got more muscle everywhere in his body than you can ever ask for in a competitor, right? He's got a small waist, he's got glutes, he's got hamstrings, he's got quads, he's got chest, shoulders, arms. The guy has, and I don't know if this is, you just can't have everything type of thing, but his back development is not on par with the rest of his body. Why do you think it is that he has trouble? It's much better than it's been, but why does he have trouble developing his back?
Developing the back or getting it lean?
No, I think I don't think it's a lean thing. I think he just doesn't have as much muscle there. That's really my viewpoint from this whole thing. Yeah. And then what happens is you try to fill him out more thinking he's flat, and there's just not enough muscle there. It's wide, but it's not dense. Aside from the traps, of course, he's got great traps.
His back lat spread is insane.
Yeah, because he's got good width.
He needs FST7, the 7 magic reps. To bring up that back.
I think it's got to be really mentally hard for him to continue dieting this long. I mean, this was a long diet. I thought the last two shows he did before this one, he was his best. I think he really didn't want to do this, but I think it was a good move for him to do this because now he's definitely Olympia quality. No one's, he's definitely going to the Olympia at this point. He's got plenty. He's probably got more points than anyone now at this point.
Yeah. He can trade him in for like freaking fly miles.
Yeah, he can save some for next year if he needs it.
I'll take the Olympia qualification, and I'll take 400 pounds of chicken breast.
Yeah.
But he looked good, and the knock against him, I guess, for me would be the back leanness, but as you said, maybe thickness, or might be a combination of the two. And then the illusion of him is he looks like the biggest guy in the world, including the widest, but he's not the widest, right? It's just that he has a small waist that makes him look
proportion.
wide.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's shocking. Like when I see him in the lineup, I say, God, standing in a lineup, it like. He's not the widest guy up there.
He could get lost. Yeah, he could get lost sometimes, But like you said, when he's out there alone, you see all this crazy, freaky proportion.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. How the guys start these rumors like, oh, you shouldn't squat. It's going to thicken your waist. And you shouldn't deadlift. It's going to thicken your waist. He's got the smallest waist on the stage, and the fucking guy can squat and deadlift more than anyone on the stage. So, foo for that the theory.
Well, you can put that in the Guru seminar. It could be like.
Yeah, it's everything's genetic too. Now let's go back to, third place Milan Shadik, who you and I have been very high on ever since he hit the pro circuit. Really, we both said that this guy, if he ever moved to the open and put enough muscle on, he's going to be very dangerous because he was having a lot of trouble sucking down to 212, which he should never have done.
5 pounds, he would have beaten Juan for sure. Period.
Really, that good?
Oh yeah, he's got better legs than Juan. He's got better pecs than Juan. He's got better balance than Juan and Nakeem. Period. Mm-hmm. His condition was the best out of those three. His arms, if he jimmied them up, they'd probably. He's a little small standing next to Akeem, and of course wide Juan. Right. So you just. You kind of like struggle like standing next to the freak of Akeem and say, okay, he's not as big as Akeem. He's not as, while he's probably in better condition than anyone, including Juan. Juan still surprisingly, Juan's height and width go a long way on stage in real life. And
structure is everything in bodybuilding, right?
Oh, it doesn't show up in pictures. So when he stands next to Juan, you go like, okay, Juan's way wider, and it kind of negates some of the extra condition that Milan had, and polish. But I can't say enough good things about Milan. I mean, well, the good thing, you can sum it up: 5 more pounds of muscle, he would have won that show hands down. Well,
let's face it, Milan beats Justin Rodriguez and De La Rosa, which is those are two solid guys. De La Rosa is a guy who wins shows, and has won shows, and now Shadik is really cemented himself as a legitimate open guy who can stand with some of the best of them now.
Yeah, no, and he looks, out of all the group, he looks like he has like the least flaws, because you can say he has the better balance of the top three. He has good balance in the legs to the torso. When he hits the front double bicep, there's a lot of taper to the torso. His back knots up. Looks like there's plenty of muscle back there. It's just that he's probably 227 or something versus going up against a tall and wide Juan and a big freaky Akeem. Your condition, shape, and polish carries you far, but not past those two for now.
So what would your suggestion be to him? Just more muscle on his body?
Yeah, a little bit more muscle. That's all he needs. That's it. Jose's been saying it for years. When this guy moves up, he's going to be dangerous in the open.
Do you think he has potential to be a top 6 Olympia guy? Or is he not maybe in that category?
I don't think in the next 2 years, but
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Who
maybe.
knows? You're down the road.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's a big compliment for him. Like I said, I think he really was probably the most. He was probably the most unsuspecting person that we were going to see
Yeah,
in that
that was-
top 6. I don't think anyone expected him.
Yeah, without a doubt.
What about Justin Rodriguez? This guy's just always like at the doorstep there. What's he got to do to?
Well, nothing. I did the wrap up with Aaron, and Aaron said, "What about this guy?" And I said, "Same exact thing as you, Dave. He's at the doorstep." I think I may have used that word.
Mhm.
I said he's knocking at the door, so that's close. You said doorstep. I said he's knocking on the door.
He's right there. I mean, he's been there for the last couple of years. The fact that he, about 2 years ago, I think was his breakout year at the New York Pro, when he just turned pro. He was like a new pro. And, you know, he really did more than people expected. I still think he's growing into his physique, and you know, depending on the lineup, he'll do better or worse. But I think he still needs more muscle. That's my
the
take
bottom.
on it. Yeah.
But if he can get that muscle, he's going to be opening that door.
Yeah.
Because he's got good balance, good shape. He was in very good condition here. He was in very good condition. It's just that in that lineup, you would say, "What do you need?" And the only answer could be, "You need more muscle," and it's everywhere. But the point is he doesn't have really many weak spots. When I say it's everywhere, he just needs more chest, shoulders, tri, back, bi, legs. But none of those body parts are weak.
Right.
So he just needs to, add muscle to everything he's got. And I think that it's going to look like even, he puts on 10 pounds, it's going to look more than 10 pounds. It's going to look like more than 10 pounds because of his shape, because of his flow, and because he doesn't have weak body parts. You don't say like, oh, he has no triceps, no biceps, his pecs are flat, back is lacks depth, no hamstrings. Everything's there.
Yeah, no, I agree with that assessment 100%. What's give me the lowdown on Tim Budesheim. I don't really know much about him. He was 6th here.
He was in really good condition, and I thought he could have floated up there as high as 4th.
Does he have potential?
Yes, he does. If you look at the, pictures.
He's from Germany, by the way, just for people who don't know who he is. Yeah.
100%. His condition was as on the money as Milan's was on the money.
Okay, that's we'll have to keep an eye on him. He could be the next Dennis Wolf for all we know, right?
You could have very easily argued that he'd be much higher.
Josh Wade, I looked at the pictures of him. This guy is always in shape. He's always one of the most conditioned guys. He doesn't have the best structure. Was he at his best here today, and he met a lot of tough competition, or could he have been better?
No, I think he was pretty much at his best. I don't think he could have done anything to be better. I wouldn't say he was flat. I wouldn't say that, but I would say his condition was great. Those three, Milan, great condition. The guy you just mentioned from Germany, great condition. Great condition on Josh Wade. And that's probably it in the top 10. Justin too was in great condition. Those are 4.
James Hollingshead, another guy who's good condition.
Was in damn good condition too. Damn good condition. But I wouldn't say. I think one's been a little. I think one was title last year when he was 2nd.
Yeah. Let me just. I just want to finish out these other guys, and I'm going to come back to Juan. James Hollingshead obviously had a good showing at a couple earlier shows. Placed, I think, 3rd at one of them, and he's he had trouble here today. He looked really good in the pictures too. I just think that this is a tough lineup here in New York.
Tough lineup, different lineup. Kind of like, I don't know if he was flat or he looked like he was a little flat and holding a little water, even though his condition was good.
He looks like his tan could have been better. Am I imagining that?
He had no tan. Come on, he had no tan.
Yeah. Okay.
His tan was like.
At the pro level, you can't be screwing up like that, with no tan, showing up with no tan.
Of course, I'm exaggerating, but comparatively, his tan definitely did not help him.
Let me. I'm just going to go down the list now and just ask you about a couple people. Now, Joe Mackey was a guy we were talking about last year. I know you were helping him last year. I know you're not helping him this year. What went wrong with him? He looked like a guy who could have really stormed the pro scene this year.
I think that
You actually called him Ronnie Coleman in the making.
yes, I did.
Crazy, most muscular shot.
I
Wow.
think that he was same thing with Hollingshead, like flat and holding water. It's one thing to be flat and peeled. It's another to be blown out full and holding water. But when you're a little bit both, it just throws everything way off.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, he definitely wasn't the way he looked last year. That's for sure. Quincy Winkler, Ruli's brother, I noticed is in the lineup in the open division here. Not big enough? Is that?
Yeah, not big enough. But he's added some size. That's for sure. He's
Yeah.
probably going to get a visa for Kuwait so that they can blow him up to 400.
I think he's been in Kuwait with Ruli, right?
Yeah, he's been in Kuwait there. I wonder why they don't, get high on the brother.
Well, maybe he's just not, he doesn't have the same genetics, or he's, when you hold yourself back for quite a number of years for in the 212 class, now you have to try to start putting muscle on. It's not so easy sometimes,
Oh, Bonek did it.
True.
Dexter did it. Dexter went from a bantamweight.
Yeah, that's true. But he was, once he turned pro, Dexter, he was never looking backwards at holding his weight back. He kept growing and growing and growing. Let's analyze Juan. Why did Juan beat Akeem? Is it a purely structural thing, or what did he have that Akeem didn't have?
Well, of course, the impartial judge that I am, I definitely thought Akeem was winning. And when I watched him with more detail, I picked Juan.
Why?
Because Juan has more, and Juan has weak legs. Simple as that. They're very weak.
Yeah.
And I still had him winning.
Right.
Why?
Why?
Because he has consistent condition through his entire body. That's a big one for him.
Mm.
Like, the glutes and hams are tight, the lower back's tight, the pecs are tight, the shoulder arm tie-in's tight. It's not like some people like tight in some areas and then, not tight enough in the glutes and hams, or tight in some areas, including glutes and hams, but the back's not tight enough. He's uniformly hard. And then on top of that, he's the widest guy on stage, and as the prejudgment wears on, it's weird. You start to notice, okay, he's bigger than I thought because of the structure. And then he can, he's got a couple wild shots, side chest, side tricep. Those
his side leg, for a guy who has weak legs, his side leg is probably the best on stage. Isn't he crazy?
Those thin legs blow up on the side shots
because he's got the adductors and he's got the hamstrings and glutes. Yeah.
And when he comes out, he hits those side shots.
Mm-hmm.
Those side chest right away, side tricep right away, and and then he turns to the back and hits the, back shots, which look good. And he's got a good, very, very good most muscular.
Yeah.
He has cannonball delts, very full pecs.
He's got the good showy muscles. He's got the good showy muscles.
Yeah. He's got showy muscles, and he knows how to present the showy muscles,
which is something that he had to work a lot on because he wasn't good at posing for many years, and it took him a while to really learn his body and get body awareness. And I think he really, he's perfected that, and that just goes to show you that, presentation wins shows sometimes. I mean, let's face it, Akeem is not the best poser. He's way better than he was too. He's gotten much better, but presentation can sometimes, be the dividing factor that will get you that win. And Juan knows how to show his body off. He knows how to just show his weakness, hide his weaknesses, and show his strengths. And I think that showed here.
Yeah, I wanted to interview Juan, but I didn't get a chance to. It just was like helter skelter backstage.
Yeah,
and,
we'll get him.
I'll see your thoughts on. Okay, I won this show. I won the Arnold in South America. What am I doing?
I think it was a good move on his part to do both those shows.
Yeah, definitely do. I definitely do.
I mean, New York is not like winning like a the Mr. Idaho, or something like that. This is a big show. So was the Arnold. You can't say anything. The guy's won 2 major shows this year, and even if he doesn't do well at the Olympia, it doesn't even matter at this point, I think.
Well, that was my point. I wanted to interview him and see what his feel is, for where he thinks he can place at the Olympia.
Where do you think he can place?
I don't know. I mean, 4's on a lockup. 5 and 6 are on lockup. Even without Ramy and,
Notoriously, guys with legs that are not their strong point have trouble at the Olympia. Have you noticed that?
Well, me and Aaron talked about that in the wrap-up. Aaron made that point, said, you know what, you have to have big legs in the Olympia because You got Roden with legs. You got, though he's not in the Olympia, Ramy with legs. You got Rolly with legs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got Bonac.
Bonac. A lot of legs. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's another.
I mean, Juan would be up there with like a Cedric, a guy who's good legs, but not a strong body part, and it doesn't surprise me that Cedric has trouble at the Olympia as well.
Yeah,
because of that. That always seems to be the glaring, I guess you could say, criticism of Cedric at the Olympia. Well, his legs look small. Well, how come they didn't look small when they won the Arnold earlier in the year? So. That's we'll see. I guess it's good that Juan can shut it down now and get some rest himself up. At this point, I would almost be tempted to do Toronto if I were him. Who's going to beat him?
I thought of that too.
Right? Who's out there?
You know what? It's so funny you say that. I bet one runs up to Toronto.
I mean, who's doing the show who he hasn't beaten yet? I don't know. I don't know anyone else.
Got a great metabolism, so he won't need to. He can eat.
Right. Well, we'll have to see. We'll have to see.
Some people eat like, what you do? I ate after the show, and I had a little rebound. I ate a little on Monday. Now what? I'm up 22 pounds.
Yeah, exactly. And he can bring it down just as quick as he can bring it up. So let's talk about the 212, which is what you're very upset about or impassioned about. Let's talk this show out, because this is first of all, it was a little bit of a surprise in this lineup because no one really knew what to expect. We knew Ahmad Ashkanani was coming in. He obviously has been he won the Arnold Classic one year. He was second at the Olympia behind Flex Lewis. Last year he didn't have a really good year. We knew he was coming back, to try to prove that he still had it, so to speak. We knew he was going to bring it. You actually were coaching Eduardo Correa, who was also making a comeback. Who was out of the commission for 2 years. 3 years, tricep tear, after tricep tear, after tricep tear. I had seen the pictures you've been sending me of Correa. I knew he was going to be phenomenal. No one had really seen too many Ashkanani pictures. And it turned into a battle here. And you were not happy with the outcome, and a lot of people weren't happy with the outcome. A lot of people felt Correa should have won this show. Talk to me about what do you think went down here?
I thought it was an execution of Ahmad Ashkanani by Eduardo Correa. I think that Eduardo Correa certifiably blew him off the stage.
Mm-hmm. But why? What? How so? Break it down for me.
Okay. He's as big, outside of being as wide. He's got a better weight. His condition just utterly destroys everyone in the lineup, including Ashkanani. And Ashkanani was in guest posing shape.
He looked full, but I would hardly say he had any detail. No detail in his legs, right?
Zero separation in body parts. No abs. None. I mean, it was here. If you go on anyone's Instagram, like sometimes I follow a couple people, Bodybuilders Without Borders or Sulios, and just because those are the only two I follow. I don't follow them, but I go.
You follow me though.
Yes, I only follow like 30. So I don't follow them, but I go to them on occasion to see who's the new up and comer, and they had pictures of the show, and you'll see not 100 comments, not 200, not 300, but 1,000 comments. There are none. Zero. None.
Yeah.
Zero that have Ashkanani winning. Zero. I mean, it's stunning, is what it is.
Well, why do you think he won?
Because they gave him a bone.
Okay, so you think they threw him a bone because he was the second place guy at the Olympia. He won the Arnold Classic. You think they gave him the benefit of the doubt? Where does he? Let's look at it from this perspective. Why would he? Let's play devil's advocate. Why would he beat Correa? What is Correa missing?
Zero.
Well, I mean, Correa is obviously the most shredded guy on stage.
Okay, so
is he missing? Is he missing some lat?
Ashkanani's calling card is his back double,
right.
And he got blown back to Kuwait in the back double bicep shot. his back lat spread is wider than Eduardo's, but so what? Eduardo's taper on the back lat spread is as strong as his. And glutes and hams not even close on that shot. Ashkanani's other calling card supposedly is his hamstring from the side, which his legs look like twigs compared to on the side next to Eduardo's, and they look virtually undieted next to Eduardo's.
Mm-hmm.
Side chest, Eduardo beats him. Front delt bicep, Eduardo beats him. Side tricep, Eduardo beats him. He has no abs, so Eduardo beats him there. And most muscular, it's a toss-up. But if you can find someone, let me know.
Yeah, well, you know what? I'm look. Usually, the 212 class is historically won by guys who are the best conditioned. Having said that, I think that if you compare body parts between Eduardo and Ashkanani, they kind of balance each other off. They both have about similar legs. They don't have the greatest legs, but from behind, I think Correa has better glutes and hams. Obviously.
Let me pause, Dave.
Yeah.
Ashkanani does not have a single ounce of separation in his quads.
No, nothing. They're blown out. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with them, but they I agree. He looks like he just did a squat workout before he got on stage. Correa's conditioning is better, obviously. Like you said, Ashkanani might have a better back, but it's hard to make a case for Ashkanani winning this show.
It's not even close.
Yeah.
Eduardo's back blows him by back to Kuwait.
Yeah.
Maybe sends him. What's east of Kuwait?
I don't know my geography that well, unfortunately.
Depends on which ways he blows him. It's like a plane. If you blow him towards the east, I guess you hit Afghanistan. If you blow him to the west, you'll land in Iran.
Oh my God! What does this say about the Olympia coming up? I mean,
well, it says that Eduardo Correa is not Mr. Olympia. That's exactly what it says. Yeah. Because if Eduardo Correa wins the New York Pro, then who's Mr. Olympia?
Well, since obviously Flex Lewis is not going to be in there, there's obviously other guys as well. Ashkanani's trying to make a statement here. He does win, but does he really win? Because he doesn't really seem to have convinced anyone that he's...
I mean, he wins. He got the win. That's the bottom line, which, like, it's not a good call.
What's Correa's mindset on this whole thing? I know he's like the most gracious loser and winner of all time,
Well, he was happy because he said he took 3 years off, and he came back in tremendous.
He's probably consoling you, if I know Correa. Chris, it's okay, Chris. I finished second.
I said, Eduardo, you brought up your legs. He said, yes. When I couldn't train my upper body for a year and a half, so I just do legs. That's what he told me. I said, your legs are fuller.
Yeah.
And I remember.
I when you sent me pictures, when did you send me pictures? Like in the yesterday, the day before?
Uh-huh.
I actually thought he looked better the day before.
Well, he still had to make the weight. You're right.
I think that was my point. I think him sucking down took something away, because when you sent me those pictures the other day, his legs looked big actually.
Yeah.
He actually looked. I was like, this guy how did his legs get so good? And you're like, oh, he said that's only trained for 3 years while he was trying to heal the tricep. I said, they're fucking a great body part for him. And then I looked at the stage pictures and I'm like, they look a little flat. I'm like, I couldn't figure it out, but I forgot he had to make weight. He still has that problem, obviously.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. But just to put it in context, his legs are both bigger and 300,000 times sharper than Ashkanani's.
Yeah, I agree with that. 100%. Because Ashkanani doesn't have good legs either.
Ashkanani looks like a wheelbarrow.
Let's talk about third place. A guy I've been helping since he turned pro, Kareth Bajo. Talk to me about what you. I know you were impressed with him. What was your take on his placing? I know he's thrilled to death, by the way, because this is a guy who turned pro at in the Masters division. And people probably didn't even think anything of it. I told him when I started working, I said, "You're going to be a good pro." I said, "You're going to be a great 212 pro. You'll be a better pro than you are amateur." And I don't know if he believed me at the time, but it's nice when someone tells you that who has some clout in the industry. And
I would have liked to see a call out him versus Ashkanani.
I think he's got better legs than Ashkanani, and I think he's got a better structure than Ashkanani.
He's detail for detail. He had a lot more detail.
He has a gyno problem that needs to be removed, which I told him about already. He knew that. And I think if that was gone, it might have been a different decision.
Well, we can. I think Akeem, with those extra points that he got for the Olympia,
Can throw him a couple.
those freaking players to go to Dr. Blau's and have those gyno taken out for free.
Yeah, and you want to hear the funny thing? He only weighs about 195 pounds on stage,
Insane.
which he can grow 15 pounds into this division. Not that he needs to.
He's dangerous. How old is he?
He's a master. He's in his. I think he's in his 40s. No, he might have won over 35. He might not even be 40 yet. I'm aging him. I know he's listening to this. He's going to be like, I'm not 40 yet. He's got a lot of good growing years left in him. Believe me, he started late. So I was impressed. I was very congratulatory to him, obviously, because I know this meant a lot. Imagine you win a Masters event and now you're standing with Olympians on stage being compared for the win. I mean, that's
Crazy.
It's a dream come true for any bodybuilder. Just goes to show you if you train hard. And this is a guy who works a full-time job. He doesn't live the bodybuilding lifestyle. He works his ass off. And, I don't even know how he gets all the workouts and the cardio I give him done, to be honest with you. I really applaud him in that sense. He has no sponsors.
What's he doing for a job?
I don't know. He works a full-time job, though. So the bottom line is, he's like a Ronnie Coleman. He's that's how he pays his bills.
No, he was probably outside of like Ashkanani being the surprise winner and surprise not in shape guy. He was the surprise of the class as well as being the in shape. Who's this guy?
Yeah. He worked very hard, and like I said, hard work pays off. Conditioning wins shows. That's really what it amounts to. Who else in this lineup impressed you?
There was a lot of depth to it actually.
How was Kim Jong Ho?
Shocking, another shocking place, and I have nowhere near fourth. Sorry, nowhere. I don't get it.
No, what was his conditioning off?
Very average.
We've seen him tighter before. I know we have.
You saw the pictures. What's impressive about him? Really?
No, nothing. I don't know.
Okay, there you go. Case closed. I was very surprised. What
about this guy Steve Bethan?
He was pretty hard. I've seen him fuller.
He's another German guy.
Yeah.
Germany sent a few good guys over there that no one really knows too much about. 5th place here at New York Pro. It's got to be a little feather in his cap, I would think.
Yeah, I would think so.
What about Dara? Were you impressed?
Better last year.
Really? Not tight enough?
Legs look down. Weird. Upper body look up, legs look down. Either that or upper body on the front shots looked up with no improvement in the legs, which made his legs look smaller.
I know he's listening to this probably, taking notes.
I don't know if that makes sense.
Justin Randall. I love Justin Randall. He's one of my favorite guys.
Very good.
I've known him for years. He's like a Derek Farnsworth, right?
Yeah, he's thick, dense, and hard.
Yeah. He's a guy that no one expected to ever, a shorter guy, one of the lighter weight classes to turn pro, and he just packed on a crap load of muscle, and he like you said, he reminds me of a Farnsworth,
Maybe he's pulling a Dexter moving up.
Yeah, no, I think who knows? Maybe he'll be in the Open pretty soon.
I don't sound angry enough about Eduardo's placing, but go ahead.
Yeah. What happened to King Kwamina? I know you worked with him, right?
No, I don't work with him.
Oh, you don't? I thought you said you do. Who works with him then?
No, I don't. Who'd Jose tell me? Something blue. You the guy you guru. You coach. You used to coach. Blue.
Blue who? Blue Taylor?
Yes.
Oh no, I didn't coach him, but yeah, I like him. I think
he got overlooked here.
I like him a lot. Yeah, I think he's he's very outspoken. He's one of the best interviews I ever did. I think he looks really good.
Yeah, I thought he looked really good too. I was surprised he was not. I would have had him up again. I thought to me he had more of a pure bodybuilding round look with good enough condition to be to beat the guy who ended up in 5th.
Right. What happened to Ricardo Correa? Who you work with him, right?
Peeled.
Yeah, shredded. I'm looking at the pictures. I'm like, holy mackerel.
Cross-threaded quads, glutes, hams, Christmas tree.
What didn't they like about him?
Borderline lights out condition. No idea.
Were you surprised that he wasn't in that top 5?
Shocked.
And he's a guy who's won shows before, so I mean, I'm surprised that they didn't have him up there.
Yeah.
Was he just overlooked?
He wasn't underlooked. I guess what's the opposite of overlooked?
He must have been overlooked.
I mean,
look, you know what? Anyone who says the 212 division is dying is out of their mind. If you look at this lineup, I mean, this is stacked. I mean, there's a lot of guys in the lineup. It was really deep.
Very deep. Very deep. I mean, a lot of good competitors it reminded me of a show like even guys probably. So let's just say, I'm on the record. Ricardo should have placed higher, but let's just take like 7th through, not 10th, but 7th through 14. It reminds me of like a 200-meter race where you got clearly the first, second, third, fourth guy, and then everyone else is bunched up going over the finish line at almost at the same time. I mean, there's a lot of guys right there who could have just got edged out. This guy was a little tighter. He could have jumped from 14th to 7th. Or if this guy wasn't as, if he was a little fuller with that condition, he could have jumped from 13th. They were really bunched up there. So I think in that context, people who probably ended up 7th through 14th, a lot of people got to be scratching their head and saying, hey, I could have been
a contender.
Yeah.
Let's move to classic physique. Keon Pearson versus Alex Cabronero. Seemed like a two-man show. They had them out there together. We saw the call-outs. A lot of people that I talked to thought Cabronero was going to win based on conditioning. They give it to Pearson. What's your take on that? First of all, was it even? It seemed like there was a lack of conditioning in this classic division, which we don't usually see, but yet it happened.
Yep, there were a lot of people who could have been tighter, and I think it came down to those two. And I tried to make the case for Keon. He has just a better flow on the back double bicep. I think he opens up a little bit more on the front double bicep. His pecs are a little flat compared to Alex's on the side chest. But Alex is very soft from behind in the glutes and hams, like painfully so.
What do you think happened? I've seen him much tighter before.
Yeah, I don't. Well, maybe it could have been that he peaked for Pittsburgh and tried to, do something here, and it just once you peaked, by definition, you peaked.
Now we saw Keon at the Arnold, obviously, and he wasn't his best there. The guy's got one of the best structures, in classic. His front double bicep is just brutal, but it looks a lot better when he stands alone.
True.
Why?
Yeah.
Because he's short. He's short. You see a shot of him alone in the front double bicep, you're like, how's this guy not the champion of the world? But then you see him out there. He happens to be very short in stature, and it definitely negatively affects him, I think, against some of the tall guys.
Yeah, I think the back double is more impressive even than the front double.
Yeah.
The back, tremendous, flow, shape.
I still don't think we've seen the best conditioning from this guy.
You just took the words right out of my mouth. His condition was good here, but it was not something that was a slam dunk. Of course, it made Ashkanani look. Compared to Ashkanani's, it makes it just peel off the mind.
The guys, I don't think anyone's got a smaller waist than this guy. I think he's even smaller than Laureus. He looks like to me.
Yeah, his waist is tiny.
Teeny tiny, and obviously that's something that we like in the classic division. What would be, if you were advising him? What would be the advice to him? Just go for better conditioning at this point.
Yeah, he has to figure out. He has to figure out how to get in the right condition so that if something goes not well the last 2 or 3 days, it doesn't matter anyway.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I think he's like just barely peaking for the show, conditioning wise.
Yeah.
You know what? And this is probably, I'm sure, I don't know if Flex Wheeler is still working with him. I know they're working together, but this might have been Flex's bane. When you look so good in that front double bicep and you're in the mirror in your house and you just have that beautiful structure in the bellies, the muscle bellies, the round arms and teeny tiny waist, sometimes, it's hard for someone to come up to you and say, hey, you're not ready. You need to be harder. And you're looking, what the fuck is this guy looking at? I look better than all these guys do.
Yeah.
And sometimes you might not push as hard or go as far because you don't see it. You're like, well, I'm going to get small if I get any leaner. I don't need it. Look at the shape I got. Look at the size of my waist compared to these guys. And you can get lost in that shuffle of your genetic superiority, and then you don't do the work necessary to really be better than everyone, right?
Yeah. No, you're 100% right. You're 100% right. It's just, you can't be satisfied with the way you look. That's probably one of the keys to improving is the minute you get satisfied with the way you look as a bodybuilder is the minute you should stop competing, because that means you're never going to get better.
Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree with that statement. Did anyone else impress you in this classic division?
No, because I was looking for oh wait, there was a kid from Europe with there was a kid from Europe with really unique shape. Great condition, but when he turned around, his hamstrings were like butter.
Yeah, I'm looking at the pictures and I'm just not impressed with the conditioning that these guys are bringing here.
Yeah,
Terrible.
Because classic is traditionally the stepchild of the 212 or the step. You know what I mean? You got tremendous condition usually in that class.
Yeah, This is the first classic that I've seen which really wasn't pushing the conditioning level to the max. Usually we're like, man, if the open guys were as conditioned as these guys,
That's exactly right.
And I just didn't see that here. So, but you know what? That's the nature. It's very cyclical. It's the nature of the beast, really.
Yeah.
You're going to have ups and down, years and stuff like that, and not every division's you're going to hit it 100%, and that's just
social media everywhere on the planet yet who has Ashkanani winning.
Men's physique won by Kyron Holden. Did you see that division?
Men's physique. Oh yeah. The top three were tremendous.
Yeah, I was pretty impressed with those guys.
Very. Yeah.
These guys. I really believe, and I don't know if some of these guys have legs, some don't, but the guys who have legs, these guys can really cross over, I'm sure, to classic and probably do very well. Matter of fact, probably the top three guys could have crossed over and did pretty well in the classic division in this show.
I would agree.
Let's see who else was in this.
Who had more division, men's physique or classic physique? It must have been men's physique, right?
Yeah, men's physique is always longer, but it was pretty close. Classic was a pretty good. It used to be the 212 was a pretty good division.
Yeah,
size wise. Figure was won by Jessica Padilla. Bikini by Mariella Pellegrino. And it was, I'm sure Steve Weinberger is very happy with the turnout. It's funny, all these people that who I haven't really talked to in years, they still go to the New York Pro. New York Pro is a show that the fans never change. Every freaking year, these guys get their tickets from Weinberger, and they're at that show. And these were the same guys that were going to the Night of Champions back when it was Wayne DeMilia's show, and before that. It's like a tradition. It's probably the only pro show, I would say, with the exception of the Olympia, that is not that is successful without having an amateur show associated with it.
Yeah.
In other words, people will actually go pay money to see the show without having to go see their friends, who are in the amateur division. Yeah. It's amazing. It's a phenomenon. It's a whole experience. And it's a fun thing. I missed going this year, but you guys did a great job. You and
it's one of the shows that people, Dave. It's one of the shows that people like to hang in the lobby.
Absolutely.
And yap about I don't know what.
About when Mike Francois won it, or when fucking Nasser won it back in the day, or Dorian, right?
Yeah. Yeah. How would Nasser do in this show?
He would have cleaned house.
How would Jay done? Isn't that fun?
Would have
How
cleaned
would
house.
it go?
How would Victor 2003 have done?
Clean house.
Yeah. It's a different time though, so you got to remember back years ago when the New York Pro was the United Champions, there wasn't a lot of shows. So if you had to be the best guys did the New York Pro. That was their launching pad. It wasn't even Ronnie Coleman won the New York Pro the year he won the Olympia, if you remember that. Remember?
Right, 98.
He beat Levroni at that show.
Yeah, he did.
I don't even know why he did the New York Pro, to be honest, but I guess he wanted to make a final statement, because that was the year that, Dorian had retired and everyone was like trying to, establish themselves as maybe the guy to beat. And when he beat Levroni, because Levroni had to be one of the favorites going into the Olympia.
Absolutely.
When he beat Levroni, that was it. He beat Levroni. Levroni was never going to beat him again after that. That was.
He broke his jaw.
Yeah.
His boxer said he broke his jaw. Broke Levroni's jaw.
Yeah, he. So now Ronnie beats Levroni, and Levroni's out of the picture in terms of the fans and everyone. Now it's a Ronnie it's a Ronnie Flex show now. Yeah. And Nasser obviously got to be considered one of the favorites in there too. And ironic that those guys were top three, but that's what it was. It became it knocked like Levroni out of contention, and I don't know how he did that, but it was a good strategic move that him and Chad made to do that night of champions, because it was kind of a step back, really, if you think about it, but not maybe for Ronnie, because Ronnie had never really established himself as one of the top tier guys. Now everyone's like, holy shit, Ronnie looked pretty fucking good at this show. And then he shows up at the Olympia, of course, even better. So the New York Pro has notoriously been a stepping stone for people. Juan has basically made it his own little personal. He might have more wins at the New York Pro than anyone else.
Well, how many? He's got 2 or 3?
See, that's what I'm trying to think of. He might only have 2.
Flash was the second, if you remember.
Ramy has 2 wins here. Yeah. Who else has 2 wins? Is Victor? I think Victor has 2 wins.
Yeah, Victor might have a couple.
I don't think anyone has 3 wins here, do they?
No. I think Wheeler have a couple?
I don't even know. If he has any, it's 1. I don't even think he has 1. I don't think Wheeler did the night of champions, did he?
Yeah, he did.
Just that one time, he won it. The first time, right?
When I went, that was when Steve's gym was a little smaller. I think it was 95 or 96. And I don't know why I was down at that gym, because I never ever go to. I mean, Maine's not close to certainly Steve Weinberger's gym. Mm-hmm. And I remember Wheeler sitting in the cardio room. There was a cardio room or pose that he was, cardio, like where there was like aerobic dance or something. Mm-hmm. Imagine that, aerobic dance classes. And he did not move. I don't know. It had to be like 90 minutes. So he was so depleted. He was trying to get the wherewithal together and energy to get up. And he was so depleted running into the show that he had sat there with the hood on for it was like 90 minutes. He was sitting on the floor because I had gone over and said, "You all right?"
He was always like that, but wasn't that like his MO though at all these shows? He was always exhausted.
Because I guess you'd have to deplete him like smithereens to get any of the water out.
Right. I think he had to do such extreme stuff, right, to get himself ready. It
was like the Kai, when Kai puts him on the thing, get rid of the water, you'd have to call the water to.
And Kai was also one of these guys that's always laying on the floor, right?
Yeah.
Completely drained. Yeah. Right? Oh my God, all the drama in bodybuilding is so funny. All right, let's just do a little bit of housekeeping. Did you see the Arnold Schwarzenegger got attacked?
I did.
By a fan? He got some guy drop kicked him in at the Arnold South Africa. He said he didn't even know what happened. He thought someone bumped him. He said in the crowd, it was more than a bump. And then he said he saw the video afterwards, and he was like, "Holy mackerel!" Arnold's 71. I don't know why guys drop kicking him in the middle of the Arnold South Africa. That's pretty messed up. You think in South Africa they take you in the back room and beat the crap out of you, or they just arrest him? The guy.
I don't know how it works.
He was saying, "I need another kidney." Did you hear that? Did you listen to the video?
No. Is that what he said?
I need another kidney. I don't know what the fuck he thought Arnold was going to do, especially after he drop kicked Arnold. I don't think Arnold would.
He need another kidney.
I guess I don't know. Maybe Bleckman sent him down there to get a kidney for someone. I don't know.
I was supposed to have been going to Australia to get you a kidney. That's exactly what I'm telling people.
This guy was screaming, "I need another kidney." I have to imagine. Remember the old days of like Las Vegas? If they caught you like counting cards, they take you in the back and break your fingers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I have to imagine, like in South Africa, they could do shit like that, right? You drop kick Arnold. I mean, you think Arnold would be like, "Take this guy in the back. Let's break his fingers, man."
Jose told me it was a volunteer bodyguard system.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, Arnold always has usually a lot of bodyguards. I'm shocked that he was in South Africa without someone at least watching over him. Whoever was supposed to be guarding him didn't do a very good job. That you can see on the camera, the guy he runs up to me. It was a pretty good kick actually. Maybe they should get this guy in an action movie with Arnold. Maybe that's what he was really doing.
Audition.
Arnold would be like, "Get that guy in the next movie. Let's get him in my next movie. It's a good PR piece." He kicked me at the South Africa Arnold class guy. I hired him to do my next action movie. Put him in the Terminator. Let me beat him up a few times in the next movie.
Good thing the guy didn't have a knife or a gun.
No, I know, but what I'm saying is Arnold obviously needs better. I mean, at the Arnold USA, he's got tremendous security around him all the time. But you can't, there's a lot of nutcases out there. You can't walk around. And Arnold's not a young guy anymore.
And it was a volunteer bodyguard system. So I figure, for the Arnold, Ohio, we can get the interview if you, me, Sid, we volunteer.
Right.
To,
I can't get an interview with the guy. This guy was able to fucking drop kick Arnold right in the middle of the thing. I would be pissed if I were Arnold. I'd be like, you know what? I come to this country. I bring a lot of business to you guys. And you guys can't even keep your crowd under control here. What's going on?
well, listen, when one of the first years you and I think you were there, we went to Brazil for the Arnold Brazil when they first had it.
Right.
The Brazilian bodybuilding fans are the craziest of all time. They're the most enthusiastic.
Yeah, no, especially from even with regard to soccer, they're crazy.
I was being paid to be at the probiotica booth. I was with Eduardo, and I just realized it was getting more crowded and more crowded and more crowded. And then, I looked around and I thought, what if there's a fire? How are we going to get out of here? I was at the trade show. It was just so crazy crowded. And then someone told me they put a temporary ban on letting more people into the venue, and the line was like 3 streets long for people to get in. And then the fire marshal was you could get in though if you paid an extra $20.
That's typical Brazil. Typical Brazil politics. Yeah.
When I heard that, I said, "I'm leaving." And the guy said, "No, we're paying you." I said, "I'll pay you back." I said, "There's no way I'm staying here."
Yeah.
I was too scared, and that was in the context of the day before. I was at the probiotica booth, and Arnold came through with a chain, like he does at the Arnold, Ohio, with a chain of bodyguards around him. And the crazy fans broke through.
Oh, really?
Bodyguards. And it looked like WWF. They were trying to push the people off. And some guy, people got to Arnold and they were pulling at him. And,
wow.
And you could see that Arnold was
uncomfortable.
Yeah. Where's this, how fast is this situation going to deteriorate?
I don't blame him. It's scary. There's fans are crazy. Fans are crazy. Some of them, they get out of control. I want to bring up one more thing. What's going on with Regan Grimes now? There's always some kind of controversy with leaving coaches. What did he? As far as I knew, you were working with him. Now he's not working with you. What happened?
No, it's dumb, really.
This is a guy who left, went to Kuwait with the Oxygen Gym crew there. Then he came back. Then you were working with him, and you helped him, even though people thought he would never make it. He wins the New York Pro Classic Physique.
Oh, you got to go back a little bit further, Dave. You got to go back to you've
been working with him since he first started.
For a long time.
Yeah.
And so he had this model look, this Instagram look, Facebook look, and he got ready for the super heavy at 220. That's it, the lightest super heavy. at the Arnold, Ohio, and he ended up, people thought he'd get smoked, and he got second out of like 44. And I told him, why don't you go, instead of like going back to the Canadas, find a pro qualifier immediately. And he went down and to Brazil, won the Arnold Brazil Amateur, turned pro. The next year, I don't know if he's 22, he's a kid. He, tremendously successful first year as a pro. He's like 6th, 4th, and 2nd in a pro show. Second.
Wow. And
then Bader got his claws into him and wanted to blow him up to 440. And he got shuffled over to Kuwait.
440.
They want to get him up to 400. I'm serious. And then he had to like sneak back in the like haze of the night.
Yeah.
Around Christmas time.
I think he took a camel out of there. I heard, right?
He came home from Christmas and then said that he found out that he had a heart condition or something,
which is
probably
a bullshit story.
Up to 440, which is translation. They wanted me to take a ton of gear over there, and then like in I know exactly what it was. Middle of March last year, he prepped for the New York Pro, and Boston Roy had to say that he was fat and small, which he was. He had to look like a white rodent. He was fat and small, guest posing.
Oh my god!
And he pulled it together for the New York Pro, won that. And then he got ready for the Olympia last year, and I coached him 75%, and his current coach coached him 25%, and that's...
Who's the current coach?
Dorian Hamilton.
Okay. Who coaches Antoine Valiant?
Yeah.
A couple other guys.
Yeah.
So did he tell you he was leaving?
Huh?
Did he tell you at least? Did he call you up like he did with the oxygen gym, or did he just not tell you?
You mean like the last minute oxygen and the last minute era?
Yeah.
Yeah, like 30 seconds before posting on Instagram.
Why are these guys so immature? Does he not know that you don't give a fuck? These guys...
You've been kind of helpful along the way. Thanks for hooking me up with Jay Cutler Supplement Company, and thanks for helping me turn pro, and thanks for helping me have a great pro debut, and thanks for saving me from Kuwait. I'm going to be, Chris doesn't know anything about the training. That's the shtick people use to... Does Chris integrate the training with the carbs and the, my experience trumps all training knowledge. In other words, the whole idea of how to prep for a show and experience in doing it will trump and beat training experience all the time. And it can't be the training. You know why?
Well, you don't train people though.
Wait, Dave. You know what? The boat.
Get a trainer if you want to train. Rodin goes out and trains with Charles Glass. You're doing his diet. That's what your job is. I don't have time to go to the gym and train people. I give them routines to work out with.
It doesn't matter. Here's my point. I never asked Jay what he did for training. I don't ask Rodin.
Because that's not your job, right?
Wait a minute. Wait. It's not even that. It's not important. I don't ask.
It's important in terms of what they're doing in the gym, but that's not your job.
Really. It's not really, because Dave, I'm trying to make the point. Sergio's training must, by definition, be radically different than Guy Sistinino's, which is radically different than.
No, but my point is that your job is to get them in shape. Not to train. You're not in the gym with them training. That's not your job. You're a contest prep guru, coach, whatever you want to call it. Your job is to get these guys in shape for the show, in the best shape of their life, and you do that. You don't have time. You have a real estate company that you run. I mean, you don't have time to go to the gym and train with these guys.
What's funny when Reagan was second.
Neither do I. For that matter, we do diets for people.
When Reagan was second in Vancouver, Luke Diazide was 16th. Luke Sandow was 16th.
Luke. Right.
And now Luke's third in the.
Arnold.
You know how much input I had to Luke's training. When should I switch from X amount of weeks to X amount of weeks pre-contest? I'll let you know. When you're gonna let
Yeah,
me know?
when's my last leg workout? The week before.
Oh,
That's
that's
your.
your-
Right, that's
you
what
know.
you do. I mean, look. You know what? Everyone thinks the grass is greener someplace else. They think that there's some secret drug cocktail that you're not telling them about. Although you would
Oh, I
think
do have that, but I'm not gonna.
Regan already got the drug cocktail over at Oxygen Gym. So there's no better cocktail than the one he was getting over there. So I don't know what people think that that they're missing, but people always think they're missing something. And there's a lot of look. Let's face it. A lot of coaches out there are good marketers of themselves, and they suck people in by making people think, oh, you need to coach with me because I have the secret that you're not getting someplace else. I think that you and I take the approach, and other coaches that I know too. There is no secret, guys. It's a lot of hard work. It's obviously you have to know how to troubleshoot each person's issues, and you need to know how to manipulate around lack of progress. But that's what makes a great coach. It's not giving someone a special drug cocktail that no one knows about, or a special supplement that no one knows about, because that doesn't exist. There is no special anything right now. The last special concoction that people gave anyone was when Chad was giving people the powdered diuretics to beat the diuretic testing. That was the last true special magic potion that anyone gave out in the industry.
Trinacylate sulfate that I have people, the oral trinacylate sulfate. Dave, I made up some drug name on a radio show like 3 weeks ago. I swear my inbox, I had so many comments. Master hexalone dipropionate. That's what I used. That's what Correa used. He allowed him to just burn the carbs off his body.
Yeah, exactly. And people want to believe it too.
Yeah.
That's the sad part. It's I guess it's just human nature to think that like maybe someone knows something better than you if you're not feel like you're getting the gains or whatever that you're looking for. You start looking for magic potions. I remember back in the 90s, everyone thought Dorian Yates had some kind of magic. Oh, I heard Dorian's got that stuff called IGF-1. No one knew what it was. I knew what it was as a hormone, but everyone was waiting for it to be, made, and there was rumors that it had been made, and that's what Dorian was using. That's why he was so big. I remember. I heard people telling me this, and I believed it. I truly believed it. I'm like, but Dorian must be doing something, right, to be that big. Not that he's just been training his ass off for the last 10 years, right?
Yeah.
So, well, he'll probably be knocking on your door again at some point in the future.
Well,
my quote of the week.
Yes.
Then we can go. So I know you got to drive back. And
quote of the week. Does the quote of the week have Ashkanani in it?
No, but it might be something that Ashkanani wants to use moving forward into the Olympia.
Yeah.
Worrying is using your imagination to create something you don't want. Worrying is using your imagination to create something you don't want.
Yeah, my father had a PhD in worry.
Yeah, mine too.
Is it really? Is it an Italian thing or?
I don't know. If you worry about something, you're going to get it, my friend. Don't worry about it. Just forget it.
Isn't that true? You're going to worry about it, you're going to get it. Self-fulfilling.
Yep.
Right.
If you worry about not winning a show, you probably won't win the show. That's unfortunately, you get what you think about, whether you want it or not. And that's a good Wayne Dyer quote for you. So you got 2 quotes for the price of 1. Chris, thanks for that great New York Pro analysis from this past weekend. Of course, also the Junior USA also took place this past weekend. A lot of pro cards given out. You can check all those results and photos. They're up at npcnewsonline.com. For now, we're out of time. Until next week, remember, with Heavy Muscle Radio,
the truth hurts.
Good night, everyone.